President Obama is trying to make good on a 2008 campaign promise. The president delivering his plan to Congress to shut down the Gitmo detainee center. 91 terrorist suspects remain at Gitmo prison, and some of them could be headed to the United States. And the Gitmo fight is becoming a hot 2016 topic.
The president is planning to close Guantanamo, maybe even giving it back to the Cuban government.
This morning I watched President Obama talking about Gitmo, right? Guantanamo Bay, which by the way, we are keeping open.
Let me say this, Mr. President. Don't shut down Gitmo. Expand it, and let's have some new terrorists there.
I'm not for closing Gitmo, plain and simple.
Not only are we not going to close Guantanamo, when I'm president, if we capture a terrorist alive, they're not getting a court hearing in Manhattan. They're not going to be sent to Nevada. They're going to Guantanamo.
And we're going to load it up with some bad dudes, believe me. We're going to load it up.
Well, Mr. President, you don't have the authority to give away vital military assets of the United States of America.
2016 GOP presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio goes on the record. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to talk to you again, Greta.
Senator, the big news today, of course, is Gitmo, and out of your Twitter account it says, Obama's plan to close Gitmo is a continuation of prioritizing his own legacy over the safety of American people. Are you saying that he cares more sort of selfishly about his legacy than he does the safety of the American people?
Because there's no national security rationale for doing what he's doing. He's saying things that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are attacking us because of Gitmo. That's absurd. It has nothing to do with Gitmo. They attack us because they're radical Islamic jihadists. That's why they attack us in our interest and other innocent people around the world. Second, there's no national security rationale for what he's doing because many of the people that are being released from Gitmo are returning to the fight against us. Today we wake up to the news that Spanish police have arrested a former Gitmo detainee that had returned to the battlefield against the United States. This is all about fulfilling a campaign promise to close Guantanamo, and it leaves America more vulnerable. And it isn't going to happen. We're going to fight it every step of the way.
Would you make that same argument sir, to President Bush? Because when he was president, he released 500, and apparently, according to the numbers, is that President Obama has only released 147. And I realize as we get down the chain, you get to the more dangerous ones. But would you make that same statement to President Bush?
Well, that's an important distinction. There were a lot of people in Guantanamo, and some who had wound up there had simply been people that were rounded up in operations and didn't pose a threat. But now, as you said, the less and less people you have there, as you get down that line, the more and more dangerous they become. I would say this, however, about anybody who is in favor of releasing enemy combatants who are trained killers from Guantanamo, many of whom have been pretty open in expressing their desire to return to the battlefield against America. And that's, in fact, what many of them have done. They leave and they return to the fight against us. So I would say that about anybody, Republican or Democrat, that puts our national security at risk.
All right, when we talk about release, from what my understanding of the plan is that some of them will be transferred. They use the word transfer, but I agree. I call it release, too. But that a number of them who are the more serious one will be brought to the United States and placed in regional federal prisons here. Do you object to that? They will be in custody.
Yeah, but there's no need for them to be here. Guantanamo is a first-rate facility for holding enemy combatants. I visited there personally. There's no rationale or reason for moving them from there, none whatsoever, or bringing them to the homeland of the United States, which could create problems for us here. So I think it goes back to the point, why? We have the Guantanamo facility. It is a facility that was built and is capable for detaining people such as these, who are enemy combatants in a war on terror, and that's where they should continue to be held. In fact, I think we should be moving more people there. If we capture a terrorist in the battlefield in the fight against ISIS, or wherever it may be, we should be taking them to Guantanamo as well.